Well, good morning. Glad to see you're out there, Cindy. Looks like things might be looking up for you a little bit. Um, Trying to get so that light doesn't shine so hard or so harsh. Let's put it that way. Uh, Teresa, good morning. Thank you, Teresa. Tammy, good morning to you too. Looks like Cindy has got some temporary places to stay. Uh, so she's getting moved in this morning. Glad to hear that. Oh, Noreen, good morning. Let's see, I better bring this a little closer. Hard to read it. Make sure I've got this thing. Yeah, that's about, I don't think I can make it much bigger. Yeah, I can. There we go. I can read it better now. Oh, heck. Lucinda, good morning. Heidi. Britta. Tammy. Oh, I already talked to you once. No, I didn't. All right, Melody. Wow, looks like you guys kind of lined up there. I hope you're all having a pretty good day today. I noticed the top news this morning is that the U.S. has taken the leader from Venezuela and arrested him, and I believe he's going to come back to the U.S. for charges of drug and among other things. So it's been a busy day today. The president's going to be on there speaking any minute. So if some of you have to duck out to go take a look, don't even think twice about it. Go do it, and you can always go back in and look to see what's going on here after the show. Mrs. Selleck, I see you there. Noreen. Oh, Helen. Oh, yeah. Yep. It's big news out there. I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have. They're one of the biggest oil producers, and I think we've had them on restricted oil, but I don't know. But it does affect the market on the world. So anything that happens down there affects us on our economy and among other things. But I would imagine this thing has been well thought out. They've been talking about it for actually a couple of months. And we have to hope they have our best interests in mind when they did this. Just have to trust that they have it in hand. It's one of the biggest movers of drugs into our country is from down there. In effect, it may be saving thousands upon thousands of lives by shutting them down. We just have to see. Maybe you got any big earth shattering news or anything out there, or some good times you had over the New Year's Eve, or big commitments that you've made for the new year? It's been a year that I guess I'm glad to see behind me. It's been the worst time in my life that's ever happened, but I've made it into this new year with the help of a lot of people out there and prayers, and I appreciate it. I have started different things, trying to get going. In the past year, I did buy a travel trailer, planning on using that this spring. I'll put snippets up there as I travel and can get on the internet to get to where I'm going and show you some of the things that are going on. So we'll have some fun this spring, that's for sure. I didn't know Get Swamped was live today. Ellen says she'd be excited to see some of the travels. As a matter of fact, this spring I'm hoping to be able to see Robbie down there. I was looking forward to visiting. Want to see what the villages look like too. There's a lot of places to see between here and down there, so it'll be an eventful trip for sure. Oh, it's a 3-day weekend live. Okay, I guess I didn't realize that. You know, I don't know why I didn't catch it in there, but Snowing in Vermont. Wow. I tell you, in Vermont, up in the mountains, that can snow about any time of the year. I actually was at the highest point on the East Coast, which happens to be in Vermont. And they have a little sign up there. There's also, not too far from the sign, a sandwich shop up there that my wife and I stopped at and grabbed a lunch to have. Took it with us in our car. So we were on our way to Connecticut. We were in New York at the time. I think we were right outside of Waterford, New York. And we went across the mountains and down into Connecticut down there. Corey is cooking etouffee in jambalaya. Yeah, boy, I wish I was there. Oh, heck. I put a video up yesterday to Pat Leslie, a little pat on the back. I know that for the most part, you know, she has her ups and downs, and I'm hoping that during this cycle of the up and down part, that she doesn't get wrapped up too much in the drama of everything going out there. I'm not so sure, Melody, that Lisa is going to be with Jeremy in any way, quite frankly. If you look at what's going on out there, I think right now they're hitting her twice as hard as they were before. And you already realize that Lisa's had some problems in the past, so it shouldn't be any surprise of the ups and downs that are going on, and that I don't really want to be the blame to push her over the edge if something would happen. And I would say at this time, both sides are gunning at her as hard as she's ever been gunned at. And it would be a shame to destroy somebody that is having those kind of issues. And part of that, some of those people that are doing the attack, they were involved in a vicious attack a few years back of an Australian, and people had to go to his house to keep him from doing something wrong to himself. And one of the people here that's doing the attacks on this end was actually involved. And the same tactics are being used here that were used on that person over in Australia. And the heck of it is, it happened to be people that were also involved in the Johnny Depp case. So I'm always a little there. Yeah, there you go, Rich. There you go, Leslie. Leslie, she has something different in mind, I'm sure. Oh, let's see. Let me back this up. I missed a bunch of people. I was there trying to think of what to say about this whole thing. And John Cook, glad to see you got on here. And Rich, of course, you're always welcome down here. Looks like you brought your alligators and eggplant with you. Anyway, after the things that were going on out there, or her videos, it's not just one side that's chasing her down now. We got two sides. And once she's done with this little roller coaster ride, she'll probably be looking for a safe haven again. Hopefully she'll find it and not have to worry about some of these yo-yos out there that love to attack the weakest link. And well, we'll just see how it comes out. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Oh, heck. I don't know, Helen. When children are exposed to these kind of things, you never know how much they're really being exposed. That's great. Of course, you're past 11 o'clock in the morning, so that temperature comes up pretty quick. Oh, you did cook some banana pudding, Teresa? Oh, heck. I tell you, the banana pie wasn't too bad. It didn't have, like slices of banana in it. And if I make a homemade one, it'll have the slices of banana in it. I like it that way because to me, it tastes better. But it was a pudding type pie with little flakes of bananas in it, I'm assuming. It had something in it, but but the heck of it is, they had plenty of bananas at the store too. They looked pretty good. It looked ripe. I did buy some oranges, and they're fair and they're not great. Problem with the oranges, like the ones I had, they weren't as juicy like I would like them to be when they're fresh, and they're nowhere near as sweet. Teresa said, "Oh, her pudding had real bananas in it." Well, I think mine had real flaked bananas in it. Where they probably were dry when they went in, and then they soak up a little bit of moisture. Like I say, it tasted okay, but it wasn't as good as what I remember, what I like. But I'll make the real deal. But I'll probably do it with a graham cracker crust rather than pastry crust flaky. I would have to practice a little bit to make some real good old homemade from flaky crust. By the way, I did go through using a AI program, looking up some things. And I'm surprised. What I'm finding out is that AI does a good job when you're searching, but it doesn't always give you the best picture. And sometimes you get two conflicting reports out of AI when you go back in. And there was one that was extremely disturbing that had to do with one of the people that seems to be attacking most of our people. And at first I was thinking, boy, this guy is way off the deep end. Come to find out that he'd been under different attacks as well over the years. And although he uses the same tactics, there were some used on him, and maybe some of them that he uses right now, he learned from others. What I did find was a surprising number of people that fit the same cast as what that person does. And I'm still running some of them down. What I'm finding is the best information comes from people that are associating with those that have gotten involved in this drama rather than the main players. So I've been spending about anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day doing nothing but using some programs out there that are doing the search for me. It's just boring and a lot of dead ends. And sometimes when you get off on a tangent, it goes so far out that you're no longer looking at the same person you thought you were. Lori needs some prayer requests for her father-in-law, passed. Her husband and brother are co-trustee, brothers stealing assets and being a hostile trustee. And unfortunately, we have to get an attorney. Husband's upset. So for Lauren out there, please give him your best wishes and prayers. When people pass away and there's an estate out there, it's amazing, the different people in the families that get in there and kind of pick things, pick it clean, if you will. I've run across it quite a few times. When you get to my age, you're one of the last of those that preceded, your family that's older, and you get to see how greedy people can be. I mean, it is heartrending. Wow. I feel for you, Lauren. Yeah, most of my relatives that went before I have, they didn't have a whole lot. But the problem is that no matter how little they have, there's everybody standing in line and trying to grab as much as they can. Don't make sense, but it's not the amounts, it's just there's something there to grab. The ones that do that, Helen, don't consider it stealing. Usually it's that person wanted me to have that, or I've always had my eye on it, or something of that nature. And it's kind of like the first one there gets the most out of the trough. Uh, people people can be that way. It could be something as simple as a quilt, rocking chair. Uh, everybody has their hands out, doesn't? It's just greed. I know I've never disputed a will in the family. Sometimes things are a little unfair, but I've always, after the funeral, I walk away with uh, the idea that the best part of that person was that person himself, and their gift was of their self to those around them, and no amount of money or objects can replace them. And so the objects become way down the line. And I actually have never even stepped in a line and wait my turn. I got what I wanted out of the person while they were alive, and what I wanted out of them was the love of family. You know, that's it. That's all that's necessary. Wow, Lauren, I feel bad for you going through that. Meredith, I see you out there. Yeah, I hope you can come out of this okay, Lauren. Don't let it destroy any of your relationships with any of the rest of the family. I can tell you when when my parents passed away, my part, if you want to call it part of the estate, was an envelope that long and that tall with a handful of pictures in it. Yeah. All right, Bearden. Yeah, we'll do. We'll get it. We'll talk. Lorraine says, did a funeral paperwork for a cremation service, signed so intentional what I want done. Yeah, whatever you want done before you pass, you want to make sure whoever your executor is well aware of what your wishes are, and you've made the arrangements as far in advance as you can, so that well, all I can tell you is if you plan things out and uh, there's less bad feelings afterwards for other people. Uh, my wife had figured out the things that she wanted taken care of, so it wasn't like there's anybody out there can argue with what she had asked to be done. Meredith says Venezuela, they're all celebrating. They got them. Yeah, they have hit a lot of spots in Venezuela, and it looks like, for right now at least, things are okay. I don't know what the rest of the world is going to think what's going on there. My feelings are this. There's going to be some South American countries that may be upset with us. Cuba certainly will be. One of the big things about Venezuela is the amount of oil that's there. You're going to have everybody looking at them to see what can be done there. Who's going to be first to be in line to control that oil? Yeah, Russia's kind of on top of things down there for sure. But some of the South American countries are too. Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't open up any more problems in some other countries for us, personally. I'm not so sure how much we can afford when it comes to utilizing our military might. It's not a cheap operation. And as you well know, our country is right at the breaking point for our debt load. And if we had another pandemic hit us, we'd be hurting pretty bad. Our country has come out of some pretty tough times. A couple world wars in Korea and Vietnam, and landed on their feet. But I don't know if we've been so low on supplies, personnel, and money in the bank, and been so low on national pride. I'm a true American United States citizen, and I believe wholeheartedly in our country. But there are a lot of people here that would like to see it destroyed, and I feel bad about that. Back in the 50s, we were pretty solid, and it seems like right now, when we try to do the right thing, somebody's there to spank us. And I just don't ever remember people being so upset with our own country. And I don't ever remember a time when the Senate and Congress, within their own ranks, can have so many problems themselves. And I'm not talking about just right now. I'm talking about the way it's been in the last 20 years. I mean, we just haven't had enough relief or people standing up saying, that's my flag. You don't tread on my flag. Yeah. Ellen says she's going to keep her mouth shut about politics. Ellen, I'm not talking about the Democratic parties. I'm talking about our country's pride itself, our pride in us, you and me. I don't give two flips about whether it's a Republican or Democratic Party. What I care about is how we feel about this country that gives us so many freedoms. That's how I feel. Yeah, I'm not talking about presidential stuff or Democratic Party, Republican Party, Independent Party, none of that. I'm talking about how you and I feel about our country, the division between us, regardless of what that division is. When I went to school, we pledged allegiance to the flag under God. We believed in every word that we had said. And we were willing to defend our nation at any cost, period. Freedom A lot of people think it's free, and it's not. We're the stability of the nation. How you feel about it. Reason is hard to talk about. Politics in general would be, it gives us a reason to be divided, and I don't think that's right. I think you have to have both parties to exist, so you have two sides to everything or more to keep it level. So the system itself is there in place to keep us on our straight and narrow. But when you use one or the other against each other, that's wrong. Should have never been done. We should have a correlation between where we sit down and negotiate. I use bearded a lot of times when I try to explain that concept. We agree to disagree. And if we can do that, we can be friends and we can work together. That's the idea. And our nation was based on something similar to that. To take and argue over party affiliations, in my mind, is wrong. What we want to do is look at things that we can do to keep our country fluid, on top, operational. We want to be able to give our kids a nation that was handed over to us when this nation was born. That's my opinion. And we can do that without talking about politics. We can do it about talking about the better things for you and I, all of us. And that's the way it is. Oh, about the worldwide? I understand, Helen. You're right. You're right. We mess with the politics of the world, and the world mixes with our politics. And the heck of it is, we, the people, we have let it slide that way. There it says right there. We are not defending our country. We're enforcing our power for the good of other countries and corporations. It's not just even that. We're standing on ground saying you can't cross this line, and we're doing it within our cities and states. Remember how many times people have said, united we stand and divided we fall. Has anybody here ever remember our country being divided as much as it is right now, other than back in when the Vietnam era was going on? That was the first look I ever got to see a nation that was pulled apart so far. When I came back to the United States, I wasn't very welcome, and I certainly wasn't welcome to wear a uniform across this country. Lauren says, keeping peace among the world is a very difficult thing. It is, and sometimes we get involved where we shouldn't be. On the other hand, if a nation is hungry, it's going to go looking somewhere else to find food. If you can keep the world from being hungry, especially our home country, but the world, sometimes you can avoid other problems. We can't control dictators and people that run a one rule country. We can't. There's no way. Oh, let's see. Peace through mutual development. One of the problems, Sequoia, just to give you an idea, mutual development between countries. If you remember during COVID, that mutual development caused us a problem. We had trouble getting masks, paper suits, medications, simple thing like tennis shoes, cars, parts. Because of the fact that we had stopped manufacturing to a big extent, to include clothes. One of the last shirt manufacturers was in New York. And his factory burnt down, he rebuilt it. And of course, he couldn't compete with other places because the labor is different. cost of it. But because of that, there was things we couldn't get, and we found out too late that we couldn't get it. Back in the 50s, we started losing our steel mills to other countries. Part of it was because of automation, better systems out there, being able to do it faster, better, all that. We lost a lot of our car manufacturing because our foreign countries responded to a smaller car, cheaper to run, cheaper to buy. All those things were involved. Back when Ross Perot was trying to explain to us what was happening and these agreements we had with other countries, particularly our neighbors, he said, listen to this. It goes, he says, that's your manufacturers being sucked out of the country, because the agreement that we had with these other countries gave them enough money for startups, and man, did they start up. So now we have John Deere, we have most of our lawnmowers, small engine stuff, all made in foreign countries. Generators, all these things. Wood, you get siding for your floor, most of it comes from China. We are our own worst enemy to a certain extent. It's nothing wrong with having trading partners. That works fine. But if we don't keep some of the trade here and be proud of what's being made, simple thing like a flag. There's very few manufacturers that manufacture the flag, American flag of the United States. There's one actually that right now that does a lot of advertising. And some of them, when they do something here, they say made in USA, the right away it goes up 20 or 30%. When in actuality, it only costs us about 5%, maybe 10% more to make it here than over there. It's just that we get underbid. That's the big thing. I can remember, I think it was either Wranglers or Lee jeans. The labor cost was 50 cents per pair. And this goes back over 15 years ago. I'd have gladly paid the 50 cents to have American jeans at that time because they fit better and they were as good, if not better quality. So, we're the ones that guided that. Yes, Corey, you're right. We need to build our own infrastructure up and develop the manufacturing, and we would be a lot better off. And there's another thing about it. We worry about bringing immigrants into our country, and if we have the manufacturing here, our country will grow. It will bring immigrants in, and they'll have work to do rather than being on the streets or living in a hotel or motel without chance of working a job. We have to have something for them to do if they're going to come to our country. Our country is formed on immigration. But we can't just open the gate and say, come on in, and then there's nothing there for them. There's no housing. We don't have anywhere near the medical and infrastructure for the doctors, nurses, all those stuff. They all ran short, if you remember. So, yeah, the European nation over there had almost had a closed trade system. And we ended up on the short end of a lot of that. And of course, after all these years that it happened, it slowly started to fall apart. We are seeing the numbers pick up here in the U.S. And I don't know if you've noticed it lately, but I look at stock investments, the inflation, how's the interest playing out there on the different investments. And right now, we're not doing too awful bad. We're recovering. We're a recovering nation. We went through some pretty tough times there and came out the other side better. If we work together, our nation, our people itself, I think we can be number one in the world with no problem. We're competing. Our biggest competitor, I believe, at this point is probably China for goods. We're also probably one of the biggest buyers of goods from China. In other words, we're the cause of our problem, not necessarily China. It's how we go over there and say, oh, it's cheaper over there, let's buy it. Why can't we have manufacturers here that work with automation that can make it just as cheap? We were able to do it for all those years, and then all of a sudden we couldn't because we made too many deals with other countries. You're right, Meredith. It is hard to realize how many poor people we have that live in situations that it's hard to say that we can fix it all because not all people want to be fixed. But those that do deserve a chance to get on their feet. And the tools for that, how do you do it without getting addicted to a system? Way back in the 50s, we developed a welfare type system that at first look, it looked like it was going to do fine, but there was no way to get off once you were on it. The steps that you have to take to get back off. Until we can develop something like that, we're always going to have poor people at the bottom of the structure. It's kind of like grading on a curve. When you grade on a curve in a school, somebody is at the top and somebody has to flunk. If you grade on a percentage and you have a good teacher, then the teacher gets graded instead of the student. Because if the student don't learn, the teacher don't get paid. Now, which one do you think is best? Put it on a curve or put it on a percentage? I know in my mind how I feel about it. Barry says, I'm not poor, man. It's the way it was. Rich, Barry, you wouldn't have been out there if you weren't poor at the time. It's opportunity and what steps it takes to get somebody on their feet. It's a combination of a lot of things. Part of it out there for some of the people is that they've become into a system they can't get out of. They're trapped. The other thing is there's a lot of people that need different types of help. Some of it's mental issues. We've closed almost all of the places that help people that were having psychological problems. We don't have something for the common person so that we can help them out of that. Oh, I better shut this down. Let's see. I know I go into a tirade on some of this stuff sometimes. Unless we're all on board as a nation, it's going to be hard to get our country on track. And the politicians aren't going to do it for us. So you're right. We shouldn't be talking about politics itself. We're responsible for our own self, our nation. And if we can't make a smart decision, the nation won't change. We can blame it on everything out there. But the buck stops with us. Every time we go in the voting booth, every time you walk uptown and somebody slaps you in the back and I want to be mayor and they got a buck in their hand. And I know I'm exaggerating to a certain extent. But I'll give you an example. Remember when I did that little crazy stunt comedy out there and some of those people back there decided to make fun of it? Back over the Otter Creek drama. And I'm talking about somebody that ran for mayor, got the permits they needed to finish a project, got the project finished, sold it and left, and then talked in a negative manner about the same town that made their business run, that they were able to run for a seat and get it, complete a project, and leave with the money in their pocket, having a good old time. And I did a story on it, a comedy. And people just went crazy. Senile problem up here. If I don't put it in a comedy thing, I'm going to get sued or whatever it is. I tried to put it in a term somebody would understand, and I forgot. I was dealing with some people out there that their mentality, they're on a different level, more like a child. They talk like it, they understand like it, and they talk to others like that. It was never meant to be that way. The people that did that, they're adults. And we get people out there running around like children that attack each other, one of us, for trying to do something that's right. Quite frankly, you get tired of it, hearing it, seeing it, being around it. If I had a show of hands, you'd probably get 100% anytime if I said, "Are you tired of dealing with these adult children?" Because that's what we're dealing with. They love to call everybody names. They get so upset. You got to have some common sense, common ground. Uh, let's see. Meredith, I grew up, most of our stuff come from, whether it's the woods or creek or, we didn't have basic things in our house like water and stuff. We had an outhouse and a pump outside. And we didn't have a refrigerator. We had an ice box, and we lived just fine. If you grow up in it, it's great life. Well, the thing we had was family. Today, everybody has cars. They travel all over the United States. Families spread out. We don't have the continuity we once had. We just look for reasons to get mad at each other. I wish we didn't, but we do. One of the things I've got out there in my garage, and you guys probably have seen it, I've got a Ford out there, pickup. It's a quad cab, 4-wheel drive. It's a Lariat. It's all leather inside. Beautiful truck. It's got 63,000 miles on it right now. You know what year it is? It's a 2002. Oh my goodness, it's 24 years old. That's my truck out there. I love that truck. It runs perfect. It's good enough for me. uh, Bearden says he should have been born in the 1800s. You probably would have enjoyed it, Bearden. I mean, if you love the outdoors, that's where people spent their time. uh, I think probably a lot of people got mad when we started talking about betterment of our country or things like that. A lot of them don't understand that talking about your country isn't talking politics. That you're talking about pride in what you've accomplished, pride in what your country stands for, the whole country, not pieces of it. Politics are pieces of a system. And that's what gets you in trouble when you start arguing about stuff like that. But not when you stand up and say, I'm a proud American, I'm a proud US citizen, things like that. The changes that have happened, some of it was for good, some of it not. Well, Speedy, how are you doing this morning? Maureen says the best vehicle I ever owned was and drove was a full-size Bronco. Yep. Yeah. It still makes it kind of tough to be outside there, doesn't it? There. Yeah, there's different things out there that will ruin your channel. Politics is one. Religion is another. it it's a death sentence for your channel for sure if you get too involved in it. Unless you start out as a channel doing just that. Uh, and there's a lot of channels that are very successful at it. But you can't stop in the middle and restart it and go into things like that. And it draws a lot of hate. Uh, More hate than we've got in this drama, I think, that we're involved in Otter Creek. People make up their mind and they don't want to hear anything else. And it's unfortunate we can't express an opinion without being run off for it. Um, Here a couple of weeks ago, I decided that I was tired of hearing all the old rhetoric. I wanted to see what really was going on behind the scenes with these people. Where'd they come from? What'd they do before they got here and started attacking each other? I was surprised. Most of them hadn't changed from what they were 5 years ago, doing the same thing in a different place, but they're doing the same thing. Their life is built on attacking, being crappy, being childish. There's a saying I seen here a week ago. I'm gonna go get it. It's out in the living room. I'm gonna repeat it. I'm gonna tell it to you. It makes sense. Thanks, Frankie. Oh. All right. I don't need the earphones on right now. Here's what I've got. And this pertains to, I would say, a lot of what's going on in Otter Creek how we kind of got together here was we got involved with this drama. It says here, when toxic people can't control you, they try to control those around you. Now, does that sound familiar to you? Does that sound like the environment that we're in when we're within this thing? Part of the control, we try to control how people think, what they do. And we do it by doing toxic things. I mean, think about this. Here for at least the last 6 or 7 months, I've been attacked almost every day. And some of it is really horrendous. And there's so many lies and so many exaggerations. People get tired of it. There's a method here that people use. It's called DARVO, DARVO. I came up with that because I looked it up in the Wikipedia. It's people that turn something back on you that you may accuse them of. And all of a sudden, you become the victim rather than the pursuer. Physicians or psychiatrists know this the best. Now, while I was looking that guy up, I went on there and I run a scan for counselors for that particular set of things in that state that he resides in. Nobody by that name is registered. So one of the things I found out about this guy, it said that other people have looked and can't find if he has any accreditation at all. He said this guy claims to be a counselor, and he, in fact, worked as a counselor, but is not accredited in any way that they can find. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's an internet university. Could be. I don't know. And I didn't go on to look at that type of accreditation, by the way. I already looked at state licensing, and I looked at it nationwide. And I'm telling you, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I let that thing run for quite a while. Now, in the state, it only took a few minutes for the AI program to run through it and come up with 0, okay? But going across the United States, it takes a while because, well, you're looking at millions of people. You're right, John. It's so much easier to be kind to one another than to fill your soul with hate, and healthier. Used to be able to give and listen to opinions. Now folks get gone for giving an opinion. Well, you're looking here today. Now, we started out with quite a few more people than what's in here. And as soon as the accusation of politics comes up, everybody's gone. Even though we were talking about a country, not party affiliations. Nor did we accuse of anybody of belonging to a party or being for a particular president or not. But it shows you how quickly people will leave and go somewhere else. You know, today I know a lot of people probably were upset because I tried to give Leslie a place where she could maybe mentally rest if she had to. That I know that over the next few weeks, she's going to take more heat than she did before, anytime. Because both sides are mad of this drama. And going on the fence don't always work. Why do I know that? Well, I tried it. That's how I started out. I was on the fence. Didn't work well, did it? Eventually, you're going to get off the fence because you're going to make a decision about which side you feel is doing something a little better, at least in your opinion. And that's the secret, is being able to use your opinion. And we're in a country that guarantees that. And if we start talking about a country, people get mad and leave. They leave. They don't want to talk about it here in the country, how great our country is. I don't know why. It used to be you could sit down and people would be so overjoyed with the things that we were guaranteed here. And now all we can talk about is how unfair it is. The unfairness, most of it comes from us. And I'm the first one to tell you, if you have money, you can sway the balance of justice, especially in a civil case. And I know people will argue with me, but if you have more money, the better lawyer and the right judge, you can get anything you want out of a civil case. Now, we all know that there's at least 10 of us involved together in one civil case just over freedom of speech, trying to give an opinion. Okay. If it wasn't worth it, you think I'd have got involved? I take a beating over my stand on this thing every day. A lot of you in here have been attacked because of the stand you took, the person that you're a friend with. We have to be careful that we don't attack our own friends if we can help it. Each person in here will have an opinion that is slightly different from another. And if we use that disagreement against each other, then we won't have friends. We don't have a chance in this world. When you're married to somebody, you give up certain things. One of them is 100% independence because you become partners. My wife and I become partners gladly. We loved each other from the minute we saw each other. Well, it took a while for my wife to figure it out. But we were right to the last minute. is what I'm saying. And I'm not making fun of any relationship at all. If we approach life in that manner where we can forgive people for little things and still agree on some grounds, we don't have to agree on everything. And we don't want to put a line in the sand. When you draw a line, then you're inviting a fight. If you tell somebody you can't cross that line, they're going to cross it because they don't want somebody overlording over them. That's our nature. You don't stand a chance in this life if you can't let things slide around a little bit and negotiate things. Same way goes for a country. We need to. And we need to be proud of the country we have. I mean, how do you feel about your yard? When you get done with your yard, are you proud of the job you did out there? If you did, it probably looks pretty damn nice. I would hate to think that we'd all drive by somebody's house and say, look at all the weeds. Some people don't like to mow their lawn. And yeah, I know how that works. This town here, if it gets over, I think it's 11 inches or whatever it is, you get fined. Goes against your taxes. I'd rather see in a town like this is a small town, that there were people out there that say, well, there might be a reason that lawn isn't mowed, so let's go see. And you go see, and they say, well, my lawnmower broke, or I can no longer get out there and do it, and I don't have any money. That's when you start setting up and helping people. You've seen how much help was given out on Lisa's channel when somebody's in need or help is needed. People jump in there. We could do that everywhere in this country if we really wanted to. There are people, I guarantee you, that will take advantage of your good heart. But if you've helped somebody out, sometimes it's worth allowing or taking a chance on that person that did take advantage of you. It happens. It's going to happen on a regular basis, depending on how much you're out there actually beating the bush to find somebody to help. You just have to use your head when you're doing things like that. Yeah. Now, Beard says, when you apologize to someone, you make amends. It's not just for the other person, it's for yourself as well. And that's probably a pretty good truism. It'll make you feel better, and you're taking responsibility for whatever happened. But we're getting down less and less on here, so I must be really pissing somebody off. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I hope I didn't turn the sound off or something. Right now here, I've been on here for a little over an hour. And we're probably winding down where I'm going to have to pull off pretty soon anyway. And I do appreciate everybody coming in and giving me your best shot of how you feel about whatever's going on. And I hope everybody out there is thankful for this great country we're in. That you're not too upset with how I feel about our country. I spent a lot of my youth in defense of it, that's for sure. All right, well, I think maybe I better wind it up. Yeah, that's one of the problems, Helen. when you're helping people out, you get bit. And Lisa doesn't deserve the biting that she's gotten, period. Uh, she went out of her way to help multiple people get on their feet. She's made the past 2 Christmases a great time to look forward to for quite a few children. She made a lot of people feel good because they were able to help those children out with gifts. She was the hub for people to run through to see to it that Christmases were going to be granted to some people that really needed that assistance. Luckily there's people like her out there with big hearts that are willing to take that extra step. Yeah. The people that probably bitter the most probably was the biggest surprise to her. But there's others that have tried to blindside her in one way or another, and she's tried to let it kind of slide a little bit so that she doesn't have to make that division and say, get out of my life or something. I'm pretty outspoken as far as how I feel, obviously, about the situations going on in Otter Creek. I think it was unfair for Michelle and John to take the extensive abuse by so many people without even trying to know who they are, who John and Michelle are. I think it was wrong for their child to be center of attention. I feel sorry for that little girl because when she's in high school, people are going to bring up what's going on today to her when she's a teenager. I don't know how I would have handled it if I was in their place. I like to think I'm strong enough to stand up to about anything, but that doesn't mean I am. Silverheart said, Ray, my sincere apologies, but I was accidentally blocked. You and 16 other people. I was on Stacy's channel, new Jim. Oh, you blocked me? Oh, heck. Am I unblocked? Silverheart. Oh, heck. I hope I don't stay blocked. Yeah, Highwater Helm said that using a child in any way is just the worst thing a human can do. They need to be left out of adult things. And Otter Creek, this is an adult thing. And I know people are using the excuse that they feel that they're doing something that's better for the child. And, I'm all for anything that will help a child out. I'm just wondering the extent that everybody is pushing is really help, or are they grandstanding? Because a lot of things they say aren't true. It's not that a child can't be raised better. I think given the right circumstance, every child probably can be raised better than they already are, because hindsight and people in the bleachers can always come up with a better way. But we're not their parents. We're not walking in their shoes. When I was coming up as a young child, there was probably a lot of people said, well, children should never be raised without the conveniences of running water, electricity, uh, refrigerator instead of an ice box, not dependent on wildlife for food on the table. Uh, yeah, the life back in the 50s was so much different than it is today. And the big advantage I had, even though our family was very poor, we had 3 generations in our house: my grandmother, my mother and dad, and my brothers. But one thing we had was family in one house. And we all loved each other. And wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world. There isn't enough money to buy that. None. We depended on each other. And when you depend on each other, you become a lot tighter and closer. It's just a thought for people out there that think that a poor child has it so rough that they should have it better. Yet most children can get past things like that. I mean, I had to go out and go on an outside John if I wanted to go to the bathroom. And we had a chamber pot in our bedroom too. And those things, you pull the lid off from a chamber pot, it can smell pretty bad. If you knock it over, it's worse yet. And it's no fun for your weekend bath to go over to that pump and keep pumping and pumping and pumping until you fill this tub up. And doing the same thing to wash dishes. Or not to wash dishes, but to wash clothes. Because that same tub we took a bath in, that's what we washed our clothes in as well, or at least my parents did, and my mom, and my grandmother. It was life. That's the way it was back then. We had a kerosene stove with a tin box that you put on top of it. The tin box was the oven. Some great cakes and pies and cookies come out of that little tin thing. It smelled like kerosene in there when you first walk in the house, but you get used to it. It's not a big deal. The icebox, hey, that's the way some people had to live. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have the money for a regular refrigerator. We just didn't. And probably couldn't afford some of the things that go with it. When you get a refrigerator, you have to fill it up with a lot of stuff. We got a lot of our stuff fresh out of the creek down there, or else we'd go out in the woods and get us a squirrel or a rabbit or whatever that was in season at the time. That's how we did it. Bought stuff in the grocery store too. Lived on the edge of town. Heck, we did what we had to do to be a family and to live. Yeah, working and sharing. Everybody shared back then. Everybody in our block did, or with the blocks surrounding us. We all had plenty of stuff to share with. Yeah, we had a root a root cellar. That's what we had, and you would keep things in the 50s most of the time. Icebox actually keeps it a little cooler. Your milk stuff will last a lot longer, and butter. We didn't have the root cellar very long. It got filled in eventually, and things changed quite a bit. It didn't take long to get into the modern world. As the house filled up with kids, lifestyle changed considerably. Okay, well, I think I'll We've been on here almost an hour and a half. I want to thank you for sticking around and talking through some of this stuff. And we'll see what we'll do for another live. We'll try to come up with something where we can come up with interesting things to keep people around a little bit, maybe. But have a great weekend, all of you out there. And like I say, thank you for stopping by. And with that, I think we will call it a day. How's that? Oh, where is this at? There it is. We end it right here. Ta-ta.